Julie's in the audience too.
All right, we are live, and Julie is here too, so.
Okay.
Hello.
Wonderful. So I'm going to call the Thursday evening, March 31st, 2022, Economic Development Committee to order. This is going to be done via Zoom, so I'm just going to do a roll call vote of those people who are here. One of my goals tonight is to try to keep this as efficient as possible. To do that, well, hopefully I have people's help as well. The roll call vote, I'm going to go for people I see. Michael?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
John?
Here.
Julie?
I'm here. I'm in the car, so I'm not on camera.
Perfect. Drive safely. And Rob Anderson here as well. So we do have a quorum of the Economic Development Committee. I think first thing up on the agenda, one of the things that I think is important to our committee and for the town going forward is maintaining visibility as an economic development entity, and through those initiatives applying for grants, and participating in presentations that might be beneficial for the town to know about. As such, I had the opportunity through my real full-time job, the chance to see the 495 Metro West partnerships presentation on the MBTA communities. Is led by Mike Keneally, as well as representatives from Mass Housing and DHCD. So I think one of the things that I learned, which was pretty important, is the fact that there is no mandate from the state that as a result of being an MBTA community, that you have to build the housing at the density that they have in there. This is just to increase capacity throughout the state. There are 175 communities, some of which are like Southborough that have a commuter rail station, and some of which are like Hopkinton that don't. But there are 175 communities that are actually going to be affected by this new statute. So one of the things that I was very pleased to learn, that there was no mandate that the housing actually get built. The other thing that I was also pleased to learn is that the state understands that there needs to be some flexibility for municipalities in order to get this zoning set up, and that there could be communities like Southborough that have limitations, such as a river or water body being located on the edge of town, or the fact that there is just no land surrounding those areas. One of the key things that I took away was that the state recognizes this, and there is some flexibility and a willingness from them to work with each of these communities. I took that as a very good sign, and allows a little bit of flexibility and opportunity to try to put that zoning that is necessary to get in there. And I think one of the last things that I was, I suppose, surprised to learn is that the statute only mentions the MassWorks grant as the one of the 3 grants, and MassWorks being the large infrastructure program. That is one of the ones where they can say, if you are not an MBTA community and adopt and go through the zoning, you can't get that. But the guidelines themselves actually end with the sentence that DHCD, at its discretion, can choose not to award grants to communities that choose not to opt in. So I think there's a little bit of a carrot with that. They want people to opt in So there's the opportunity for other grants similar to the ones like we got for EEA and our study on Route 9, those grants that we're applying for in the one stop. So I think that's one of the things that I think we would want to make sure that people understand is that if we choose not to become an MBTA community and don't follow through and work with the state and their flexible nature for getting this zoning in place, we could actually be hurting ourselves long-term for the potential to get other grants. MassWorks being the biggest one because it is very well capitalized and deals with infrastructure. So I hope I was able to summarize that particular meeting. I'm not sure if anyone else who is on the EDC was there, but there is a video of Mike Keneally and the guys from DHCD doing their presentation online. So if people want to learn a little bit more, they can do that. So with that, that is the last of the chair's report on the economic development initiatives and MBTA communities. I'm not sure if there's the opportunity for people to ask questions, but if people wanted to ask me anything about that, I can expand. Alan, yes, I see your hand.
Thank you. I watched the video as well. I found it really interesting because I think initially I wasn't, I guess, as informed after watching the presentation. It's really good. It's really insightful. It's an hour-long video. The first half is the video. The second half is Q&A. So you watch it at 1.25 speed, you can get through it pretty quickly. A couple points. One thing is right around the 29-minute mark, it does say to be eligible for MassWorks and Housing Choice community grants via the 2022 One Stop, you must complete this form. I may have misheard you, Rob. I thought you said only MassWorks, but there's two things. So you're right.
Yes.
Either way you say it, by not completing the form for the MBTA communities, we are taking ourselves out of the running. And I also think just by completing the form, it doesn't say you're going to build 15% housing. You're just completing a form. You're limping into the process. And I think that's the piece that probably select board, planning board, and other folks, either they already know or not, I don't know, but I know I didn't know up until I watched this video later today. The other piece I found interesting is that when I first saw the edited draft of the letter that the planning board was going to send to select board, I learned about it on Monday night's planning board, and I either skimmed it Monday night or Tuesday morning. But admittedly, I had skimmed it, but then I read it in detail later. And what's interesting is that was very heartened to find that we are not saying no to it as a town. We're asking for that flexibility. So us asking for flexibility and then now knowing more that there is flexibility gives me good hope that we'll find something in the middle. But I do completely underscore, and I'm 100% in agreement with you that if we walk away from this, we're walking away from a lot more than just the MBTA community piece.
Yeah, and the one thing that I don't believe that Southborough is a housing choice community. In order to be a housing choice community, there's a certain level of housing production that you actually have to do. So I don't believe that we have done enough to be a housing choice community, which is why I kind of paid closer attention to the MassWorks.
I see.
John, I do see your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say the challenge that we had with that area is 50%. So where they want the zone to be, 50% of it would be in Hopkinton. And then you go to the east or west, you have swampland. The only real area that you have is north. So I'm glad that they're admitting that they'll make some sort of concessions, because our little piece of it is tough. It's limited. I know it's only an overlay district, but it's a tough pill to swallow for that little piece.
Well, they even call out Southborough, John, in the video as an example. They say because of where Southborough's location, it abuts Hopkinton and Ashland, that a portion of that would go into those other towns. So it's interesting.
That's what we were asking for. So that's good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so thank you.
Yeah, and there's a great PowerPoint presentation as well that kind of makes clear that they're willing to. It seems, based upon my reading of the situation, that they're willing to work with communities to find the best location as to where they can put that. And you know, it's one of those things where oh, I wish I could share screens, or whether or not I had distributed it earlier. However, for MBTA communities that has no land area within half a mile of a transit station, the multifamily district should, if feasible, be located in an area with reasonable access to a transit station based upon existing street patterns, pedestrian connections, and bicycle lanes, or in an area that otherwise is consistent with the Commonwealth's sustainable development principles. For example, near an existing downtown or village center, near a bus line, or underutilized facilities. They already know that, and they have that within their guidelines document to help communities like Southborough. I'm very happy to see that, because there is not that space or area to do it. The letter, I think, reiterates some of the points that the guidelines cover. I think whether or not, well, the debate on whether or not to send it is not ours. But I do want to say and echo Alan's point, we don't want to turn away compliance with this legislation if it costs us grant potential in the future. Oh, John, you still have your hand? Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is it tags on to what you were just saying with what they're making concessions. Now, do you know if they would extend that towards like Route 9? If we put like a bus station out there that went to the MBTA station, could we get it that far out? Do you know what the parameters are? Did they say anything like that?
They did not, but to your point, if we're going to think about the existing street patterns, I do know that we have put some sidewalks along 85 to get down to the train station. I do know that that is a pretty heavily traveled thoroughfare for a small community like Southborough. I think we could make a very valid argument that if we're thinking about some level of density, which the zoning calls for, we can direct it towards those areas that are more opportune, like Route 9. That's my impression of what I heard.
Yeah.
But
okay.
but again, the recording is out there for people to see. Chris?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Well, first of all, John, thank you for being at that meeting. Who else was with you?
It wasn't me.
Oh, who went to the
Rob.
meeting?
I
Rob.
was there.
Oh, first of all, thank you, Rob. I saw the video. I saw the first half hour. And I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase this. The state has raised or rung the alarm bell for the future economic well-being. And the reality is the housing crisis is not just another political statement. It is a reality that businesses can't find, or the employees of these businesses can't find affordable housing. And the problem is it's going to cause, as the state implies in this message, there are going to be businesses that'll leave the state because the housing capacity issue is very real and has a long-term impact potentially on the state's future, including Southborough, who chose to vote down sewer. So our success in getting that one zoning bylaw passed for the downtown is indicative is that we know what to do, but I feel we have a major responsibility to educate the community about how serious this situation is, and that every creative resource that we can muster to rally around this issue with the full support of the state, as they have indicated. But we can't do it unless we share this information with the town in depth, with several meetings with a game plan of how we can overcome some of the obstacles we placed ourselves, no sewer. And when we voted to assure that housing would only be 1 acre zoning. So to overcome these hurdles, I think we have a major responsibility. And I think the education of our community can bring people together to help us move forward in dealing with this in a very adaptive, successful way, so we don't jeopardize, as you said, Rob, the potential for grants that we could get in the future.
And no, thank you. It's having that long-term strategy, and you know, you did use a term that I heard multiple times in the video, and it's not something that we as an EDC or you as an EDC member is making up. They use the term housing crisis multiple times. And so they view housing and the access to housing and the access to diverse types of housing, that be that rental, affordable rental, townhomes or whatever, that there is a supply issue. And that is, I think, the genesis of that MBTA community. So we do have a letter going. I do think that some of the concerns raised in that letter are valid. I also think, and I'm just going to give my own opinion, that what I heard from the state is that they are willing to be flexible with communities like Southborough that have might have a difficult issue with providing that location near the MBTA train station.
Would they compromise on any of the density? Because what do they want? 15 units per acre? That's a pretty good sized development. That's like Madison Place kind of size.
I don't think they're that number I don't believe is going to change at all. And I think one of the things is that there are limiting factors to developers looking at particular sites. Because we don't have sewer, the developers will have to factor in the septic, wastewater, and all of that if they are thinking about putting in 15 units per acre. It might not be economically feasible for a developer, even if we have that zoning, to put anything in. Their goal is increasing the ability for capacity. And there is no mandate that we build. It's just that we have it in place. Alan? Oh,
No, I think Michael started to raise his hand before I did.
Yep.
We're probably gonna say the same thing, Alan. Keep in mind it's density per acre, so that's 15 units per acre. If a development is 5 acres or a half acre or a quarter acre, that number is divided. So it's what, eight units per half acre and 4 units per quarter acre. So it's the density is not a fixed amount of units, right, John? So it's to your point of Madison Place. I don't know what the density on Madison Place is. We can certainly check, but it's a density. So if there's anywhere that there's a acre that's developable near the train station, I'd be surprised. But yes, getting 15 units on that is going to be hard, but that's the density. It doesn't speak to a fixed number of units. I guess, is that similar to what you were going to say, Alan, maybe? Or
no, but that's a great point. So I'm glad you went first, because my point won't be nearly as eloquent. So one thing or two things that are worth noting is in the balance of that video, they highlight the notion of getting things rezoned is a challenge in many communities, and they know that it's an uphill fight, and they actually have resources, or they're going to make resources available for municipalities to kind of go through a potential zoning vote at town meetings and things like that. So I know that as I was watching this video, I was thinking, okay, so with this comes some challenges. And like literally 3 minutes later, they talked about, yep, we recognize there's challenges and we have resources that are available if you were to go down that path. So I thought that was really interesting. And then John, to your point, they actually have some videos of showing what some more dense developments look like in a couple areas. I think one was Lexington, I forget the other two, and they did not look like they were just really cram stacked, you know. So it was interesting to see how what density can look like. So I just thought that was interesting that they went and showed those photographs.
So I did want to let people know about that particular video, that presentation, and how housing itself can be an economic development discussion that kind of adds into how we can attract businesses and things like that. Chris, did you just raise your hand? No, if you didn't, that's perfect, because I was then going to. No. Okay, good. Because I was going to go to the next item on the EDC agenda from the members, if there are any reports. Julie, I know you're driving, and we might be talking about the Southborough Master Plan as a discussion item. So I know you're a participant on that Master Plan committee.
I'm listening.
Yeah, because you're a participant on the Master Plan committee, although this is member reports, I think I might have you kind of talk about that underneath the discussion item.
Yeah, that's great. And I
If you're
don't,
okay
as
with
I said,
that.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
You hear me?
yes.
Okay. So I'm in the car, so I don't have all my all the notes in front of me, but I thank you to Rob and to Alan and to Matt, who all submitted some really thoughtful comments. I don't have them all in front of me. I did forward them all to Marika and to Rob earlier today to make sure they were at the top of your emails. But you know, I absolutely agree with all of the comments that were there. If somebody who has access to them safely at the moment wants to run through some of them, that's great. But they all made a lot of sense. Basically, the gist of it were sort of who's responsible for what in different of the area goals. And then I think there are a few places where we thought that some goals were allocated to other committees that we thought maybe, you know, EDC certainly has some interest in. So I will make note of that. And I believe our comments are actually due tomorrow. So, you know, and if somebody is able to run through some of the highlights of some, but otherwise my plan was, I thought they all made perfect sense, and you know, I'm happy to incorporate them with this committee's approval and submit them tomorrow.
Excellent. No, I think what we'll do is we'll hit upon some of the key ones.
Yeah.
Marika will do that in the discussion. So excellent. Thank you for the report. I gather, going through the agenda, that we do have a project manager as of right now for the EEA grant. But please, Claire, let me know that it's gone through.
Yeah, about 24 hours ago.
Excellent. That's wonderful. I think, you know, and Chris brought this up, access to sewer is perhaps a limiting factor from an economic development perspective. And I think taking a look at Route 9, which is the focus point for development, or it should be based upon what's already there and what could be there, will be important. So I think this EEA grant and getting started working on that with you as a project manager will be very useful to us long term.
So guys, just yeah, can I just get, you want like a 1 minute update?
That's what I was going to just ask you for. That'd be perfect.
Okay. So even though officially nothing was signed until yesterday, Marika and I have been working for the past quarter on putting together all of the pre-work that needs to get done. And we have the initial project plan. We also have, which I told Chelsea that I would send to her, is a letter that I put together. Marika has already reviewed it. It's a letter that the selectmen will send out to the committees, boards, whether elected, appointed, or however you got into that position, saying that their cooperation with this whole study is key. And it's going to come out from the selectmen. That was one of the things that I put into the contract that had to be done because we wanted to use the experience that we learned from the downtown. So Chelsea has really kind of taken over this part, and we have worked together, and it's worked out good. And so the first quarter report, the first quarter ended today, but there will be a report that will be sent in. I suspect it doesn't really make any difference. I think officially I was not the project manager. It doesn't really make any difference, but there will be one that's ready. Looks like we have the charges that go from the consulting budget and also the in-kind services. So we're all set on that.
Fabulous. Wonderful. No, I think this is, once again, I think kudos go to you, Marika, and the full EDC team for identifying, applying for, and receiving the grant. I think that particular grant and the knowledge that we can gain from it is one of the things that hopefully we'd continue to go after and receive once we're able to implement some of the goals, the MBTA communities. So with that, I think I'd like to quickly hop on to the timeline and allocation of things that are necessary for the master plan committee so that Julie can get things submitted. Marika, do you have a list of what was sent in?
So I have separate comments from everyone. So everyone kind of provided it in a different format. I don't know if you want to go, I have the master plan implementation plan here. I can screen share that, or I don't know how we want to do it, or if you want to go through individual comments, that's.
Well, what I would like to do is be able to at the end take a vote on this, so that Julie can go in with the knowledge that the EDC has taken its task seriously and has actually gone through. I think a lot of the stuff when it comes to funding is perhaps a little bit outside of our control, and the funding can come from a variety of sources: volunteer time, grants, the town's budget, and the CPA for those that might have an intersection with housing and mixed use. So I think out of all of the things that we were asked to do, identifying where that funding can come from is, we would take money from just about anywhere and any grant, but I don't think we can actually, from a budgeting standpoint, say we have to get money from here in order to achieve those goals, because obviously some sweat equity and volunteering by the EDC can make some of that stuff happen. So maybe it would be useful just to identify what some of the key comments beyond might be. And we don't necessarily need to go through the full list.
Rob, maybe we could just go line by line through it and just see if it, read the comments off on it. And then if anybody has anything to add, and then vote on each. But does that make sense?
Go through each line by line of the comments.
No, I'd go each line of the master plan, EDC responsibility. So the timeline, see if anybody has any of the comments on it, on each one, because there might be some that we could just hit the ones that like the EDC 1-4. Does anybody have any comment on that? Blah, blah, blah. That way we can hit them all.
Sure. We can
whatever
do
you want,
that.
whatever you choose is fine with me.
No.
I never saw anybody
definitely...
else's comments, so I don't know. We may all feel the same thing.
Yes.
When is this due?
Tomorrow.
So
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh,
All
one
right.
second. I'm trying to.
I was going to say perhaps to avoid going through each one line by line, we look at one combined copy and then if there's any objections, but
But we don't have a combined copy.
I know, and it's due tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone kind of has a different format. So I know, Alan, you put in some comments in the document itself. And I know Matt Berger replied, he had some general commentary. What I can do is kind of put all those things in a doc, put it underneath each other and just send it to you in the morning. But that's a bit, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think what
That doesn't get us where we need to be, because I just wanted to, again, I assume everyone's had the chance to review it, submitted comments, and I just think maybe some of those comments, I just want to make sure everybody is in agreement. I looked at all the comments. I think they all made sense. My plan was, unless there's major objections, to incorporate them to the best I can. I don't think there was anything that was like conflicting with each other or anything, but I do think it's worthwhile in a public forum to say, what some of those comments are, and provide people with an opportunity to know what other people thought before we make changes. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. One second.
So I guess what I'd like to do is start this way. I myself, in reading the full document, noticed something that was important for me as an EDC member to pull out, and that's land use goal number 3.0. which was to strengthen the sustainability of local businesses, commercial districts, and villages by, there's a typo in there, attracting businesses to come to Southborough and stay. That's underneath the land use goals 3.0. That was assigned to the planning board. I find that right there, strengthen the sustainability of local businesses, commercial districts, and villages by attracting businesses to come to Southborough and stay, is almost our mission statement. So for me, in reading that document, Julie, that you had sent along, I would actually ask the master plan committee to assign that particular task to the EDC and not the planning board. That's me reading it as an EDC member. That's one of the comments that I brought forward.
Yeah, Rob, and I 100% agree with you on that. You're right. That's practically our mission statement. That certainly makes sense for us to be at a minimum involved, or even leading the charge in that area.
So that's almost why I was hoping that we could have a vote, because that one is not necessarily a significant change, but it might cause some conversation amongst the master plan committee.
So do you want to take a vote on that particular one?
Sometimes it's never right to ask for more work. However, in this particular case,
no, I agree with you. I think that aligns. So I'll make a motion to request the master plan committee that section 2.3 responsibility be amended to remove responsibility from the planning board and to assign to the EDC.
I don't think I'd remove the planning board. I think I'd add EDC to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so there's a notion of adding more than, because I think all the ones I saw had one party.
I think we wanted somebody to be the primary responsibility, so it didn't necessarily mean that they had to do everything for it, but that they were responsible. Because one thing that the master plan committee has spoken a lot about, because our committee spent a lot of time talking about the 2008 master plan that nobody looked at, that sat on a shelf for over a decade before we dusted it off and tried to use it to help further some of our goals. And we don't want that to happen here. People have put a lot of work into this. We want to have some mechanisms for accountability. So again, it's not that one committee is responsible solely for it, but it's sort of the buck stops here. Who's, you know, who are we going to turn to and ask where we are in this goal in 2 years?
Well, that took out like 80% of my comments then.
So make a motion to, so in that light, do we still feel the same way that this should be the primary responsibility of EDC, assuming that we only want one board or committee as the primary point person, point committee for each goal?
I'd support that.
So should I
And I agree.
reinstate
That's
my vote?
easy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So I'll reinstate my motion.
I'll second.
okay. Any further discussion on that?
What are we doing?
So, Chris, the motion was, within the master plan goal list for, land use goal 3.0, which strengthened the sustainability of local businesses, commercial districts and villages by attracting businesses to come to Southborough and stay. The, lead, committee, should be the EDC.
Yeah, I agree with that. The planning board, it's contrary, and that's not a planning board responsibility. Their job is to just make sure people conform.
Well, the planning board is a great partner in this, but I
Okay.
think the goal of sustaining local businesses and attracting businesses fits better underneath our purview, because that's what we're trying to do. And it's not that we're taking away responsibility from the planning board, but we're actually just saying that that's our mission, and we're going to try to do that.
Fine.
So I've got a motion and a second. I guess I'm going to do a roll call vote, and I'm going to start with Mike, because I know you have to leave in a second.
Do we have to leave? Yes, I agree, and I do have to go right now.
Okay, awesome, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks.
John,
See you, Mike. Aye, I agree.
Chris,
Yes.
Julie.
Yep.
Alan,
Yes.
Rob, yes. So we're unanimous on there. I think that was the important one, which is why I'm glad Michael was able to be here for that. I think the only other thing on my side, and I don't think it necessarily requires a vote, is on the economic development 3.5. And within there, and this is a nuance of Massachusetts economic development. Within Massachusetts, tax increment financing, or a TIF, is what municipalities can give to businesses to kind of attract them. That's the incentive. In other states nationwide, what we call a DIF, where the gentleman from Mass Development presented, is the same thing. So it's just simply an edit to that particular point, from tax increment funding, TIF district, to district improvement financing, DIF. That would put it more in line with Massachusetts and be, functionally accurate.
That makes sense to me.
And I don't think that requires a vote, because it's just changing.
Yeah, it's a typo. Yeah.
Wordsmithing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's an important thing to do.
Okay.
And so for the rest, maybe we just go through the list and go through them in order. And if there are any particular comments from the committee, we say if we want to add change, or if there are things that we don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I
So
think that's, I actually don't have a lot more time to be here either.
yep.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
this is effectively reading this through line by line in front of a group. There's no way we're going to get through this in under an hour.
No,
Maybe we can focus on just the responsibilities, like Rob earlier. I think that was a very good point. That that was the EDC's. We believe that was the EDC's responsibility as opposed to the planning board. Maybe if there are any other like responsibilities assigned to the EDC or not assigned to the EDC, if we could vote on those. But the other things are just a matter of wording, I think. And I'm hoping Julie can, without a vote, maybe Julie can bring those back as our comments.
I did not see anything, and as the chair, I did not see anything underneath the responsibility that made me think that that wasn't something that we couldn't do. So I didn't see any that I wanted to add, and I also didn't see any that I wanted to delete. What's the feeling from the rest of the committee on that?
I agree.
I'm good. I'm good.
I actually defer to what Julie was saying earlier. If we have a bunch of changes, which is what happens when you get multiple people editing, as long as there's no strong conflicts, then in the edits, all the multiple edits mesh well together, then I'm fine with what the final outcome is.
And if somebody reads something and by tomorrow morning in the first hour, it's worth, no, I guess we're going to vote on it. We got to leave it. So.
Yeah, so I guess Marika, you have the comments from Alan and Matt, and let me just take
Yours
a quick
as
look.
well. I have
And
yours.
yes, yep.
Yes. So I'll just combine that. So I don't think there are many like big changes. There were just like general comments or issues with the timing, like how do we know how to the implementation of it. And again, funding sources. And there were some comments about certain wording that was like too general or kind of difficult to. So I think those comments, I mean, I'll just put that in one document and send it to maybe to Julie, and then just forward it.
Yeah, honestly, Marika, I don't even know that you have to do that. I don't want to make you do it tonight. I'm probably going to work on it tonight.
Okay.
Because I have a busy day tomorrow, so probably I'm just going to incorporate the comments, unless I'm sorry, I don't have the document right in front of me. But if there are any others, again, a lot of it was just wordsmithing or some general comments, typos, stuff like that. So if I'm happy to make those changes, everybody's had a couple weeks to review this. So I think if you can vote to give me license to make the changes as suggested, and I agree, having at least skimmed through all the comments, that the one that jumped out at me is something that was a more material change is the one that we already voted on. I don't think there was anything like that where, it was a change of allocation of responsibility. I believe that was the only one. So, however you want to do it's fine, but I propose maybe we just, unless anyone else has any comments they want to add now, to just vote to allow me to move forward with it as a representative on the master plan committee.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with
Okay.
that. All my changes in the scan were just adding different boards and committees, and then the timelines is all mine was. So
One suggestion is that for the next sort of group doc that we have is maybe find one standardized method for providing comments so it doesn't cause Marika to run around through 3 or 4 different sources. Would probably make it easier for her.
No, I think that's a very good call. But I will entertain a motion from the committee to allow Julie to take all of the comments into one document so that can be submitted to the master plan committee by tomorrow.
I second that motion. Or I'm sorry, are you making the motion? Or are you
Well,
entertaining the
I
motion?
don't think as chair, I can.
So,
Yeah,
so,
sure.
moved. All right, I'll do that.
And
So
I'll
moved.
second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go around as people, as I see people. I'm going to start with Julie,
I agree. Yes.
Chris,
Yes,
Alan,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Rob, yes, it's unanimous. And I started with you, Julie, in case you needed to duck earlier, but I think we're getting up close to the end of the agenda. Let me just.
Yeah, let me know. I'm literally sitting in my driveway. My dog's jumping at the door.
No,
Next
I think
item
it's
is
just,
approval of minutes.
Standing in the doorway.
yeah,
approval of minutes.
yes.
Of
So,
minutes.
people would have received the minutes for March 18th, 2022. Do I have a
I make a
any
motion
comments or
to,
changes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written. Now you can go for discussion.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion. There's just, I saw one typo, just wanted to fix it. That's all. Second page, first full paragraph where it says RA stated that the following. Skip down to the part right after one stop. It says one stop grant was nor awarded, should be not awarded. That's it. Just one,
Good catch.
just one letter change. Otherwise,
Thanks,
they,
thanks,
fine.
Alan.
yeah. So
I withdraw my
someone's-
motion and amend it to be, I make a motion to accept the minutes as written with the one change from nor to not.
Second.
Okay. So with the motion on the floor, motion to approve, I'm gonna go as I see them. I'm gonna start with you, Julie,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes,
Alan,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Rob, yes. Okay, we've got that unanimous.
All right, I'm
Unfinished
gonna hop off,
business.
guys. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Julie.
Bye,
All
Julie.
right. Bye.
Well, I suppose the unfinished business is one. I didn't thank Julie for all of her extra work as a member of the master plan committee, but thank yous should always be unfinished because you could be doing giving more of them than you actually do. So is there any other unfinished business?
yeah, this is Chris here.
Yep.
Just a thank you to John Woods and Marika and myself. We went and visited our company, and the president of, what's the full name, Marika?
Ravi Aika, Mr.
Yeah.
Ravi Aika of Nirvana Health.
And it was an impressive meeting, and John and Marika presenting the services of the town and what we can do to help them. And it was an impressive meeting. This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation sitting in our town. And it was a job well done in terms of outreach.
What a beautiful building it is inside as well, by the way, people.
Yeah, take yourself.
Definitely someplace you'd want to work in. Beautiful.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you guys for doing that.
And boy,
So actually to jump, I mean, can I just jump onto that? Because I was going to say unfinished business. I guess I'm working on the business outreach. So our next visit is scheduled for April 6th with Ferris Development. And I'm happy that we have Lisa Brascio and Andrew Dennington joining Chris and myself so far on April 6th for a meeting and a tour of their, I guess, newly renovated office buildings on Route 9. So I just want to, if anyone else, decides that they want to join us, please let me know so I can confirm and set up an agenda.
No, thank you for doing that. I would have liked to have attended, but work conflicts. I mean, you can't do all that stuff. So thank you for setting that up. Any new business?
no.
Okay, no new business. Okay, any public comment? I see one attendee in the audience, Select Board Member Sam Stivers. Sam, anything you want to add?
Don't see a hand.
Don't see a hand. Okay. So I just want to let people know, the next meeting will be Thursday, April 14th at 7:30 in the evening. That is, of course, subject to change depending upon committee members' availability. So,
Yeah, just a comment, sorry.
oh yeah,
So normally we alternate between Thursday evenings and Friday mornings.
Yeah.
I guess Friday is a Good Friday, so it's
Yes.
a holiday. So I just thought we'll do another Thursday evening meeting before the holidays. So
Makes sense. Will that be in
Oscar.
person or virtual again?
I don't think we've decided yet that we can go back in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know. I
yeah,
wasn't sure.
yeah. I suppose that's a John. That's a very good question. Marika, any sense from the town about
I think,
how?
I mean, I didn't I didn't hear the last select board meeting. I haven't received anything. I think the select board is looking at ways how to go back in person, but have Zoom, have it recorded at the same time, because Southborough Access Media doesn't have the equipment, to do the recording. So I think they're looking at a hybrid, option. So, but so
Okay.
far it's still Zooming.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's good to know. It will say it'd be nice to be able to see people face to face again.
yeah.
For our meetings. So okay. Thank you for that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay.
Second?
Okay. I'm gonna go through as I see him. Alan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Rob, yes. Thanks, everybody. I will see everyone on the 14th.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Okay.
Have a
Thanks.
wonderful
Thank you.
evening. I'm on my way to
Bye-bye.
my ARPA meeting now.
Have fun, John.
Bye, John.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.